I think one of the interesting things about this question, and if you have the question, and it's good to see you on Bible Discovery TV, by the way, but if you have the question in the control room, go ahead and put it up, because this is interesting. Now, this question is something that reminds people of what in the world is going on. Why did God have so many rules for making sacrifices? Now, I want to answer this question. I want to take it one step further, because a lot of people say, well, I'm not under the law. They're Christians, but they're not under the law. And a lot of people use that as an extension of grace. An extension of grace. And that's not the way to use it, because Jesus Christ fulfilled the law. So when we follow Jesus Christ and his way of teaching, instead of looking to a law, what it says, and trying to follow it by all of the precepts, we look at Jesus Christ who lived it, and we follow what Jesus did. So what did Jesus do? What would he do? He said, follow me. That's what a Christian is. Having said that, I'm in Exodus 20, and it says here, then the Lord God gave the people all of these instructions. I am the Lord your God, who rescued you from the land of Egypt, in the place of slavery. You must not have any other God before me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind of image, of anything in heaven or earth, or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, who will not tolerate affections for any other God. I lay the sins of the parents upon their children. The entirety of the family is affected, even if the children are in the third and fourth generation of those who reject me. But I lavish unfailing love for the 1,000 generations of those who love me and obey my commandments. You must not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord your God will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name. Remember to observe the Sabbath day. 4. By keeping it holy. You have 6 days each to work for your own ordinary work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath day of rest. Dedicate it to the Lord your God. On that day no one in your household or in any work will do any work. This includes you, your sons and your daughters, your male servants, female servants, livestock, and foreigners living among you. For in 6 days the Lord your God made the heavens and the earth and the sea and everything in them, but on the seventh day he rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy. Those are the first 4. Number 5, honor your father and your mother. Then you will live long and have a full life in the land the Lord your God is giving you. All right, did you get that? I say that because that's important to remember. 6, do not murder. Do not murder. 7, do not commit adultery. Keep yourself sexually pure. Do not commit adultery. 8, do not steal. Do not take something that's not yours. 9, you must not testify falsely against your neighbor. Don't lie. And 10, you must not covet your neighbor's house. You must not covet your neighbor's wife, male, female, slave, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. Now that's the 10 Commandments. That's in the law of God. So if you say you're not under the law, does that mean you're not under the 10 Commandments? It's okay to commit adultery. It's okay to do it. Hold on a minute. Paul in the book of Romans talks about this. And we are told that we don't serve the letter of the law, but we serve God who fulfilled the law. God didn't do any of these things. So we need to follow him. We don't follow the letter of the law, we follow him. Having said that, he mentions sacrifices. There are 3 things in the law. There is the ceremonial law. Has to do with the Levites. When you sacrifice, do it this way. When you give, do it that way, and so on and so forth. There is the cultural law, dealing with what you eat and what you don't eat. That's the cultural law, dealing with how you wear things and what you don't wear. And then there is the eternal law. 10 Commandments is part of the eternal law. Now, let's get back to the question. So the question is, Rod, why are there so many details in the laws dealing with sacrifice? Well, because the ceremonial law, they had to deal with things, and they're dealing in the desert with how to sacrifice animals, how to prepare the sacrifices for the altar, and all of that had to be dealt with in Israel. So that's what they had to deal with. Aren't you glad that Jesus Christ fulfilled that? Hebrews tells us that. I am so happy that Jesus Christ fulfilled that because I'm a follower of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
So keep that in mind, that the laws are ceremonial, cultural, and eternal. We are focused on the eternal law, but we're focused on Jesus Christ. We read the life of Jesus Christ and we try to follow that. Very, very important. And the reason is that there's so many precepts governing the sacrifice and everything else simply because it's hard to do. I mean, think about sacrificing the lamb or sacrificing the oxes on the altar. That's hard to do. Now, we do that today in butcher shops because we eat that food. But we do that today, but it's very, very difficult. I've always wanted to answer that question. Nobody's ever asked that question, but I've always wanted to answer that question. Go ahead, Kevin. Anything to add?
I love what you just said, Pastor Rod, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I knew that you would cover it all, so I would be able to venture off slightly. So in 2 Samuel 24:24, David is talking to Araunah and wanted to make a sacrifice on that threshing floor, right? So in verse 24 of 2 Samuel 24, it says, "But the king replied to Araunah, 'No, I insist on paying you for it. I will not sacrifice to the Lord my God burnt offerings that cost me nothing.' So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen and paid 50 shekels of silver for them." So the whole point was there needed to be a sacrifice on David's part for a sacrifice, part of his worship toward God, right? So that's a big part of it. And like Pastor Rod mentioned before, it's difficult to do. There was a portion in Leviticus chapter 4, verses, I'll just read from 27 to 29. It says, "If any member of the community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, when they realize their guilt and the sin they have committed becomes known, they must bring as their offering for the sin they committed a female goat without defect." It had to be the best, right? Without defect. They are to lay their hand on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it at the place of the burnt offering. The hand on the head is significant because if you put your hand on your head right now, you'll feel the blood going through your head. You'll feel the pulse going through your head. It's representation of life, right? And so it was just a very difficult, hard thing to do, especially today's day and age. To see something die it's so hard. And if you have a heart, if there's compassion there, you just feel so horrible for this animal. So it's representing how disgusting sin is and the need for a sacrifice. There needed to be a sacrifice for that sin, and that represents, of course, Jesus, our perfect sacrifice. So like Pastor Rod said, it had to be hard. It has to be difficult. There needs to be a sacrifice. There needs to be something coming from us, or else sin would just be an easy, random thing. But we need to realize that the sacrifice of Jesus Christ was so difficult, so hard to watch. So, even watching a movie like Passion of the Christ is difficult, even though there's an actor there, and that wasn't even as bad as Jesus got it. So for us to see that, it's just a horrible thing. It's gruesome, it's brutal, but that's how nasty sin is to God, right? And so that sacrifice was necessary, and I love in Hebrews 12 where it says, "For the joy set before him, he endured the cross." He had to endure the cross. There was an enduring there because it was difficult, it was hard, but the joy set before him was fellowship with us, right? And that's why Jesus went to the cross. So I ventured off a little bit, but
very good, Kevin. That's very good. Ray?
Yeah, I'm obviously echo everything you and Kevin has said, Rod. For me, when I look at funny enough, I just actually finished reading through Leviticus, believe it or not. It's hard. That's hard.
It is hard. Yeah.
And I'm also glad that I don't work in a slaughterhouse because I don't know how people do it. My daughter wouldn't even step on an ant. She loves life so much. You know? But in essence, I think what happened in the Old Testament there shared is that God was giving us, or giving the people at the time, laws and sacrifices that pertain to kind of two areas of our life. One was our health, to take care of us. The other was our eternal spiritual state, because Israel is surrounded by pagan countries with pagan rituals, and he didn't want Israel to be influenced by all of those things, you know. So I think there was that essence in there as well. And let's not forget that it really foreshadowed the ultimate sacrifice that Jesus paid. I mean, Isaiah tells us that his face was marred beyond any man. So whatever, I mean, who knows what that must have looked like. That would have been absolutely awful. And we often talk about the blood that he shed on Calvary for our sins, which is true, but it wasn't the first time he shed blood. He shed blood the first time in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was agonizing over what was coming his way, and he sweat great drops of blood. I mean, the agony that Christ went through, the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, that's
Just
very,
incredible.
very good. Okay, Matt, you can add anything you want to add. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys were saying, and following up, I was thinking the same thing Kevin was saying. I think it really helped the people to realize to really take the sin seriously. I mean, and then in almost a lighter side, you think about it, if they had sin on their mind, they might think, boy, if I do this, I'm going to have to sacrifice my ox. I don't want to do that. You know, it's the lighter side. I mean, wow, right? Something really interesting, very simplistic that my pastor has said for years, and sometimes it's applicable. And he says this, he says, he's God and we're not.
Yeah, that's a really good
That's
point.
very good.
Very good point.
Amen.
Well, okay, I like answering the Bible discovery or the Bible questions when they come this way. And they're like that, so that's good. The way you can ask the pastor question is simply go to, how do you do that? How do you ask the question, Matt?
Well, they can give us their question at hi@BibleDiscoveryTV.com, or better yet, send it to hello, HELLO, at BibleDiscoveryTV.com, or put it in the chat here.
All right, very good. There you go. That's excellent. All right, so may the Lord bless you, may the Lord keep you, may he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. Continue to pray, continue to pray. We have to pray tonight, we have to pray tomorrow, we have to pray. We'll see you Friday. And may God bless you as he writes his name on your life this week. God bless you, and go in the peace and the grace of Jesus Christ. See ya.